Hello and welcome to another video, and this week I thought it would be fun and it's finally time to take a step back into the world of video game retail and talk about everybody's favorite and the most requested thing for me to talk about on my channel. That is, of course, GameStop. So GameStop has had, I don't want to say a quiet period of a couple months because of with everything going on with the current global situation. They still very much are on the forefront, but in terms of like bad business deals and, you know, just the utter all bullshit of GameStop, there hasn't really been much to super report on or talk about in the last couple of months. The only one thing being the pre-orders for the new systems. But that was such a shit show at every major retailer that it's really unfair for me to just rip apart GameStop when it was handled poorly across the board everywhere. So, but news coming out this past week of Microsoft entering a partnership with GameStop is really intriguing, interesting, and one of those, I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's bad. We're gonna dive in, look at it, and just see what this all means and kind of run down what this does mean for GameStop and what it doesn't mean. And I'm pulling from an Ars Technica article here. In seemingly an unprecedented deal, GameStop will now share in the lifetime digital sales revenue, including for full game downloads, downloadable content, and subscription plans for any Xbox console sold through its stores. How much that arrangement will impact the bottom line for the struggling retailer is still an open and heavily debated question, though. So if you don't know, this past week, GameStop and Microsoft entered a deal where GameStop is now going to run all of their POS services, their tablets, all of their kind of back-end infrastructure on Microsoft's servers, rather than the current garbage fire that everything runs on right now. So what does this mean for the consumer, for the average person walking into a GameStop? Not really that much. Nothing really is going to change, except you might see an employee walking around with a Surface tablet instead of a shitty iPad from like 5 years ago, because that's what I had when I was there at the time. So on the consumer level, for this part of it, nothing's really going to change. This is actually a win for GameStop because now they can kind of offload a lot of that old POS technology and have something that's a little more up to date and a little more modern. You know, as somebody that worked at a store for 4.5 years, I can tell you that using the computer system from like 1998 or however old that system is sucks ass. And so it'd be nice to have something a little more modern. So for that part of this, that's not really the interesting aspect of this deal. What is interesting is what I just read to you. What this means is that by offering this partnership, GameStop is now going to get a share, and we don't know how much that is, of any digital revenue that is generated for Microsoft. So this is stuff like downloadable content and digital games, digital currency for the Microsoft ecosystem. Basically anything that is in Microsoft's digital ecosystem is going to net GameStop some sort of profit. In addition, what that percentage is, who knows? I don't know if that information will ever come out. But this is a good move for GameStop because not only does this mean now if you're a Sony gamer and you go into a GameStop, they're going to be pushing Xbox a lot more heavily, but this also means that they can kind of still kick around for a couple more years. Because I do fully feel like if a deal like this hadn't come to fruition, and even so, you're still looking at probably the most store closings ever this holiday season, and even after this holiday season. I don't even know what this holiday season is going to look like for GameStop. As of this recording, they haven't even announced yet if they're going to be open on Thanksgiving Day like they have the last couple of years. My assumption is no, because most retailers aren't, due to what's currently going on. But again, who knows? I do know, because of the global situation going on, that GameStop has shrunk their hours considerably. Now most retail locations are open between noon and 8 o'clock instead of the old 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. There were shorter hours beforehand. They've kind of expanded that a little bit. There's still, and it really depends on the state. It depends on the It depends on the state. It depends on the location that they're in. A lot of stores have capacity limits. Some, you can only have 5 people in the store at a time. Others are 10, and so on. It really honestly depends on the location of which the specific store is. So that's going to differ between regions, between states, and whatnot. But in terms of this is a deal that kind of allows GameStop to limp on just a little bit longer. It also is a very interesting deal for Microsoft to pull right before the launch of a next generation console, or a set of next generation consoles, because there'll be the Series S and the Series X. And I also feel like this is a good move on Microsoft's part, because they're going to push that Series S system probably a lot more than the Series X, because in their minds, they're getting most of that revenue. It's a digital only system, so when you buy it, you're not buying any physical media because there's no disk drive in it. And it makes that pill a lot easier for GameStop to swallow when on the other end of it, they go, oh, well, we're getting a percentage cut of every digital item we sell in the Microsoft ecosystem. So it makes it a lot easier for them to go, okay, now we'll stock it. One thing that was really interesting when allocations came out across the retail landscape for these new systems, it was about a 70-30 split between digital and disk drive based systems. And that's for both Sony and Microsoft. So you see 70% of retail stores are getting the disc-based versions of these systems. So the PS5 with the disc drive and the Xbox Series X, with the digital consoles being the Series S and the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition, there was about a 30% of that allocation to those. Because let's be honest, a brick and mortar retail store environment, they don't want to stock a digital only system. You're not bringing any business back to you with that. But for GameStop's sake, if they can, by saying, hey, come buy your digital currency here, come buy your digital game here, come buy your digital, downloadable content here, and they can start doing promotions like trade-in promotions and whatnot, that gives the customer and the consumer a reason to step back into a GameStop for a digital purchase that they typically wouldn't do so unless they had to trade shit in to pay for it. So again, a win-win for GameStop in this case, and a win-win for Microsoft in this case. But I'm really curious to see, like, within 6 months' time, is the store going to be more focused on Microsoft's console and a little bit less light shed on the Sony side of things, or what they're actually going to do? That remains to be seen. I'm very curious to see exactly how it goes down. I don't necessarily think that it's a bad deal in the long run for Microsoft and GameStop to kind of have this partnership. I'd be curious to know how long the partnership is for and how much money was spent to have this partnership. So those are questions that I can't answer at this time, but it's very interesting. Anyways, just a couple interesting small developments about GameStop. They continue to kind of struggle and carry on. I'm actually really surprised, given the current retail landscape, that I haven't seen more closures on the store than I thought I would at this point. Because I feel like if the global situation we're currently in didn't happen, GameStop would probably still be where they are today. So it's very interesting. I'd love to know in the comments below, have you heard about any of this stuff? What are your opinions on the Microsoft deal with GameStop? Leave a thumbs up. Remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.